Welcome to Level Up, where you get the score on video games. Once again, Valentine's Day quickly approaches, and as you scramble to find a gift for that special someone in your life, just remember, video game characters have probably done a lot more for their lady love or gentleman caller. This year's example is once again lifted from a licensed story, but not one that's commonly talked about nowadays, similar to Felix the Cat. I'm not saying it's obscure, because these characters rest in the back of all our minds. I think everyone listening knows who I mean when I talk about Popeye the Sailor Man. This is Popeye for the Nintendo Entertainment System. The story is of course as classic as Popeye himself, though has no meat on it, so to say. Kinda like Olive Oil. As usual for her, she seems to have gotten herself into trouble. This time it seems Brutus has become infatuated with her and has decided to keep her from Popeye. Oh wait, there's a mistake on this page. It says his name's Brutus. It's supposed to be Bluto. What? He's called Brutus in this game? Yeah. That doesn't make sense. From what I gather, he was only really called Brutus for a short time in the 60s. I have no idea why they would call him Brutus in this game, but I guess his sprite does meet the fatter, less muscular look given to Brutus. Anyway, sorry for getting distracted by the name difference, but that is actually more interesting than the plot that can easily be described as Popeye saving Olive Oil. Let's move on from both now. Originally having been released for the arcade, this game is a very typical arcade game, meaning that most of the game will happen on one fixed camera screen until the level is done, and the true goal is to just rack up as many points as possible. To save Olive Oil, you have to collect the hearts/music notes/letters that she lets fall until you've gathered enough to move to the next round. The higher up you collect the falling object, the more points you earn. Brutus is constantly moving around each level, and if he touches you or hits you with a bottle, you lose a life. Be careful because he can jump up or down a floor, unlike Popeye who needs to use the stairs. Your only real defense is your fists, which can take out the sea hag's bouncing skulls and the bottles, but aren't so useful against the big Brutus. But as always, Popeye has his trusty spinach to help him. There is one can per level, and when you grab it, you can temporarily take out Brutus of the picture. Again, there's not a whole lot of depth to the gameplay, but it's good classic fun. There is no flaw in it, because for everything that hinders Popeye, something else seems to help him, and that all becomes part of the challenge. I enjoy playing this game. Originally, I was going to end the review here and pair it up with another video game, since this is all I really have to say. But while researching this game, I found out something interesting. Did you know that if it weren't for Popeye, Nintendo's mascot Mario might not exist? Popeye was originally developed and released by Nintendo for the arcades around 1982. Turns out, however, that the original Donkey Kong game, released in '81, was supposed to have a Popeye license. Due to complications revolving around the copyright laws, Nintendo wasn't sure if they would be able to use the characters though. Instead of just scrapping the entire game, they decided just to replace the characters with original designs. Mario taking Popeye's place, Donkey Kong for Bluto/Brutus, and Pauline for Olive Oil. And might I suggest that the hammer replaces spinach? It really makes sense the more you think about it. As you'll probably all know by this point, that game was a smash success, and the demand for another similar game was very much alive at the time. After having properly obtained the licensing, this game was then released. This explains why the general look is similar, has sort of the same feel, and many of the sound effects are reused. So, Popeye caused Donkey Kong and Mario to exist, and the Donkey Kong video game caused the Popeye video game to be made. The rest is history. I enjoy the Popeye video game, and it has its place in history, but I have a hard time recommending it, generally because it hasn't aged well. There is next to no plot, nothing new for arcade games though. The graphics are well detailed at some point, like being able to see Popeye's tattoo, but the backgrounds are jokes, with the boat one looking like it was drawn by a 4-year-old. The music is slightly bland and has its off-key moments. Finally, the gameplay, though fun in its style, is repetitive and pointless since it doesn't save the scores on this port. If you like old arcade games, such as Donkey Kong or Pac-Man, do yourself a favor and play this. But as a general recommendation, I can't give it as high as a score as I want to. I give Popeye for the NES 7.5 levels out of 10. I'm Leo Melanson, and now you know the score.